welcome to another episode of First Past Post podcast. I'm delighted to say I'm joined yet again by my mate Liam Fitzgerald again. Liam, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. A bit upset that Cheltenham's been and gone so quickly. It just, it seemed to just go so quick, didn't it?
Yeah, mate. It's depressing after, isn't it? And you got to wait another year.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good festival. I mean, you went on the last day, didn't you? So how was that?
Oh, mate, it was unbelievable. It was everything I expected and more. And I just can't wait to get there again next year now.
Yeah, I think I'll be joining you next year, definitely.
It's got to happen, hasn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, so obviously today's a bit of a different episode. We'll be reviewing the festival, going through a few of the big races every day of the week. And just before we start doing that, just like obviously, for new listeners tuning in maybe for the first time who are not aware of, we had a tipping competition between the two of us where when every weekend before preview racing, we had our selections and we had a points-based system, and it worked like so. If you had a third-placed horse, you get 1 point. Second-placed horse, you get 2 points, and if you had a winner, you get 3. And obviously, we had our naps along the way as well, which were 5 points if they won. And obviously, we've been doing this for a fair while, and I think we mentioned on a past episode that after Cheltenham, after all of our selections, and we'll do a final total roundup. That would be the end, wouldn't it, for the first time doing it?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously after all that, if you've been listening and you've been like keeping an eye on our picks and that, and how many points we've racked up so far, it ended really tight between the pair of us. Liam, you had 161 points in total, and I had 163. So it was it kept
coming for the title next time.
It was it was close along the way, wasn't it? You had the lead a few times and I clawed it back and so forth. But so no, that's how it ended. So obviously we'll be starting that again on our next preview episode, I suppose, won't we?
Yeah, mate. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I'm coming for the title, so watch out.
Yeah, we'll soon find out who wins the next one in a few months' time again. So let's get into it, mate. So obviously we had the first day, didn't we? The Tuesday started off with the Supreme. Constitution Hill absolutely bolted up, didn't he?
Mate, he's a monster, isn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, it was it was probably one of the best performances I've seen in a long time, really. I mean, obviously we were both keen on John Bon, weren't we?
Yeah.
And like I say, Constitution Hill just absolutely hosed up, and they weren't wrong with him being a push button horse, were they? I mean, he just absolutely annihilated the rest of the field. And I mean, just how impressed were you to obviously see that on the first day of the festival?
I think it's the best performance I've seen from a novice hurdler, maybe even ever. It was ridiculous, mate. Like you say, we was keen on Jumbon, trying to find a bit of value, but I did actually say on Twitter a while back I was in the Jumbon camp after seeing him on his hurdling debut at Newbury. But after I see Constitution Hill, I tweeted to him that thing wins the Supreme. And in the end, I stuck with my boy Jumbon, but didn't go my way. I mean, like you say, he was really impressive, wasn't he? Constitution Hill, and now he's got a time form rating of 177, the highest of all time for a novice hurdler. So that just shows how highly thought of he is.
Yeah, and obviously, like you say there, with this new rating, I mean, hopefully he carries on living up to high expectations now after that Supreme performance. And obviously, John Bon, I mean, you look back at the race and John Bon was actually going really well, wasn't he? And,
yeah,
you looked at it and think, God, he's got a great chance. But then as soon as they've come around the bend, like I say, Constitution Hill is just absolutely he's just been, it's like he's been put on another level and he's just absolutely accelerated up. And, obviously John Bon finishing second behind Constitution Hill. I mean, he was running well, and it just shows how good of a horse Constitution Hill is.
Mm-hmm. I think he'll be staying over hurdles as well. It'd be interesting to see him against Honeysuckle, maybe over in Ireland. If not, then next year in the Champion Hurdle. But I think it'll be chasing for Jumbon now.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. And obviously, I mean, what battle that would be now? There's talk of Constitution Hill going up against Honeysuckle in the champion hurdle. So I'm sure we'd all like to witness that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, mate, that'd be some matchup. And my money would have to be with Constitution Hill, even giving away weight.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah, that's what I'd be going for, mate. He was so impressive.
No, it should be some spectacle if that happens. So yeah, obviously that was a cracking way to start off the festival. On to the Arkle. Edwardstone, he actually managed to get the job done, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, my dream of winning the 40-1 Blue Lord bet didn't. I mean, I was hopeful during the race, but then, you know, there was parts of it, you know, especially towards the end, I thought, oh, he's not got a chance here. But that was a shame. But obviously, he sort of ran in kind of well, finishing third. But I mean, Edwardstone, what did you think of the performance? Was he just sort of as good as what you thought last time out at Warwick?
Yeah, mate, he was impressive. I know you tried to get him beat all week with your little stat you had.
Yeah.
But yeah, that didn't quite work out. Yeah, he was, like I say, he was very impressive, mate. There's not much else I can really add on to that. He won well, and he was the worthy favourite on the day. But if Fernie Hollow was there, he would have bolted up.
No, I mean, that would have been great to have Fernie in the race. But I mean, Edwardstone, he just backed up what he did at Warwick, and he jumped well. He travelled strongly, and obviously he's won it quite comfortably in the end. And then obviously he had a big race from Gabby Nacco, 25-1. He finished second for Gavin Cromwell. So that horse performed quite well, actually. I mean, it was held up in rear and sort of kept on in the final 100 or so yards, but obviously no match for Edwardstone. Like I say, Blue Lord in third, and then obviously Riviere de Tel, who came fifth. I mean, I think she actually lost a shoe in the race, and obviously,
yeah,
you know, but I weren't convinced on her jumping actually at the festival. She was quite disappointing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also thought it was a shame that Saint Sam didn't get to run his race after trying to swerve the faller and unseating the rider. But just touching on Gabinaco there, he was actually supplemented for £8,000, and look what a decision that was in the end.
Yeah, did well, really did well. So yeah, Edwardstone, I think Alan King has come out and said that the next step is probably Aintree. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he goes on to do now after his Arkle performance. And obviously moving on to, like you mentioned just a minute ago, Honeysuckle, 15 out of 15. She won it well. She really impressed, I think, after jumping the last, and the way she just like rockets off. Her speed is immense, really. But I remember you saying on the day about Epatante.
Yeah, I thought she ran a cracker. I really did. I think Honeysuckle was beat. I mean, I think if Epatante jumped the last better, I think she had that one.
I mean, I don't know. I think just because of the way Honeysuckle, she just absolutely, like I say, she rockets off. I don't think she would have been caught anyway, but I suppose obviously Epatante would have gone much closer, wouldn't she, if she jumped the last better? But no, that was a big run.
I think she would have beaten her, mate. Just the last hurdle let her down, but like you say, Honeysuckle was impressive enough again to get the job done.
Yeah,
and you'd think she'd be going to the Irish champion hurdle now. I don't know if they'll send Constitution Hill over there, like we touched on, but she's in for a shock.
Well, I mean, I got to stay with her. I mean, obviously, I like to see that battle between her and Constitution Hill, but I mean, like I say, she did what she had to do, and I mean, I suppose it was good that you did sort of have Epatante performing well, and Zana here at a big price as well. And obviously, the talking point was obviously, you know, we spoke about it in the preview in that, but appreciate it. I mean, he just did not look fluent, and he just really didn't look impressive at all. I mean, I suppose, do you reckon it's just obviously what many people were saying, like, and us included, about having just the first, that was its first run.
That's what I was just about to say myself. You looked like a horse who needed the run. Would have been interesting to see if he was more race fit before that, but obviously it was always going to be a tough ask against some top class horses to go and win that race without a previous run out.
Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully we can see they appreciate it. We know obviously how he won the Supreme at the festival year before last, and yeah, he just didn't look the same horse. But hopefully he can improve going forward. And then obviously you're looking at the rest of the races, and then the Boodles. Obviously Gaelic Warrior was the massive talking point in this. And I think the money just kept coming for him, didn't it? Especially more so on the day. And, he was looking really, really impressive, but the jumping let him down, jumping right throughout the race. And obviously he's been done by Brazil, who won it by a head or so at 10-1. I mean, what did you make of Gaelic Warrior that day?
I didn't. Well, there's obviously plenty of improvement to come, but I wasn't too impressed with the jumping at all. Like you said, jumping out to the right all over the place, and would have won the race had it jumped more fluently. I thought it was madness how smashed in it was eventually. I think it went off about 9-4, or maybe even less than that. I think it was less than that actually. But yeah, like I said, obviously plenty of improvement to come. The horse is meant to be about 2 stone well in, and certainly didn't look that way.
No, I mean, I think, like I say, if his jumping was better, he probably would have won, and won really comfortably, I think. But not to be on the day for its first start for Willie Mullins. And like you say, hopefully more improvement, because there must be something about the horse, because obviously we heard a lot of positive things that he was doing at home and for Mullins, and there's definitely a top quality horse in there for sure.
Yeah, for sure, I agree.
So moving on to the Wednesday, the big races on the Wednesday. Obviously we had the Blackmore, where Sir Gerhard got the job done and again won it, I think, sort of as well as we expected, really. Obviously the talking point was whether he was going to go to the Supreme or the Blackmore, but I think they got the decision spot on, didn't they?
Yep, for sure, mate. In very testing conditions as well, on that sort of ground. I thought he was really impressive, and like I said, it'd be interesting to see if he goes chasing or stays over hurdles next year. I think they may want to go chasing with him. But yeah, he was really impressive, like we knew he would be. I thought he was a certainty for that race.
Yeah, and he won it really well. I mean, obviously the step up in trip was no problem at all, was it? Obviously,
well, he'd actually won a point to point over that distance before, so I don't think the trip was ever a worry, to be fair. But yeah, like you say, I think they've got it spot on.
Yeah. And then moving on to the Brown Advisory. Obviously we had disappointing news, didn't we, before, about half an hour before the race, really, because of conditions. Braveman's Game wasn't going to be a runner in this, and it was a shame, because we wanted to see him well and do well in this, and it was probably our fancy, I think it was, for the day. But obviously he was a late withdrawal, and Long Press for Venetia Williams took it, and I mean, again, he won well. I mean, when Braveman's Game got withdrawn, I thought, well, there's just got to be one winner now, I think, with Long Press. I mean, I weren't too keen on a Hoist Senor. And yeah, Long Press has just carried on doing what he's done in his last few starts, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think Braveman's Game would have beat Long Press on that sort of ground. We know Venetia Williams horses do like a bit of juice in the ground, and it was soft/heavy come that point. Yeah, like I said, very disappointing not to see Braveman's Game, but I think Paul Nicholls probably made the right decision for the horse. You don't want to take too much out of the horse on conditions he won't like, so probably got that spot on. And my bets were on Braveman's Game, but obviously non-runner no bet. Got my money back, and I did go for Long Press in the end, so it worked out well.
Yeah, no, really impressive horse, and I'm sure more big races in him to come as well.
Sure.
Moving on to the Champion Chase, where I mean we got to start off with Shishkin, haven't we?
Yeah, but he just didn't like the ground, did he? And I think also that run at Ascot last time out against Energumene probably took a lot out of him.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, you've got to look at it and think. Obviously, the ground was getting worse on the day, and obviously we had Brave Man's Game getting withdrawn. I mean, do you think there is a chance that they could have withdrawn Shishkin late, or that would have just been a really, really disappointing start to that race? I mean, obviously everyone was buzzing to see the rematch between him and Energumene, but I mean, he just didn't. Literally, after even jumping the first, he just did not look.
He looked beat after the first.
Yeah, like he was slowly into stride. And like you say, he was pushed along, I think, after the first jump. It just did not look right, and obviously inevitably got pulled up. But I mean, that was so disappointing, and obviously we hope Shishkin can just return to winning ways soon, hopefully. And I mean, you've got to talk about Envoy Allen, haven't you?
The boy ran a cracker, mate.
He did.
At an each way price, I said I fancied him, and it's good to see him sort of back in some sort of form after last time out. He really struggled, but yeah, I thought he ran a great race, and at one point I did think he was in with a chance, but he just run out of steam.
Yeah, and obviously it was unfortunate to see Shaq Paul Soir fall, because without Shishkin getting pulled up, I mean, you never know if Shaq stayed on his feet, he could have gone close as well. So
the thing with Shaq is, I'm pretty sure he must be cursed over in England, surely, at this point.
He's got to be, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unfortunate to, you never know. He could have gone close. He could have ran well. So, yeah, I mean, it was a shame to see him fall. But Energumene obviously ended up winning, and obviously, I just want to see, I still want to see the rematch at Cheltenham, really, between him and Shishkin, a proper battle.
Like we said, it's 1-1 now, so it's got to happen again at some point, probably next year. But one thing I would say is Nico de Boinville, he was spot on to pull Shishkin up when he did, and I thought it was class of him to sort of take the horse out of the race and sort of save him for another day, because in that sort of ground anything could have happened and the horse could have got really hurt.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, mate, spot on. Moving on to the cross country chase, I mean, wow, I mean, everyone thought Tiger Roll was going to be withdrawn late because of the ground, and he's gone on to run an absolute blind of a race, and I can't believe he's not won it in the end.
Yeah, Delta Work was really impressive as well. Like you say, Tiger Roll ran a cracker on conditions that probably wasn't favourable again. Pretty sad to not see him go out winning it, but what a horse he's been for our sport, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't quite believe when I was watching it how well he was going, and when it got towards the end, I thought, oh my goodness, he's actually got a chance here. But like you say, obviously, stablemate Delta Work under Jack Kennedy just pushed out more in the final stages. But I mean, yeah, what a run from Tiger. I mean, he's going to be retired. Well, he's retired now, and we wish the horse well. Like you say, absolute sort of wonder horse, and you don't really get many of those who come around too often. So yeah, it's just brilliant to see him go close, I suppose, especially in that ground.
Yeah, for sure, mate.
Yeah, so moving on to the final race, which was on the Wednesday. Again, talking about conditions, it just got worse, didn't it? Conditions I've probably not seen for a long, long time, and I think they had like a late inspection and meeting with the jockeys to see if this race was actually going to go ahead just before the off. But Facile Vega, both of our selections were on him. How well has he won that in those conditions? It was unbelievable.
Very impressive yet again, like you say, in them conditions, and he's going to be some horse over a hurdle, isn't he? You'd think. He looks an absolute monster.
Yeah, I mean, you reckon he's he's got to be very, very strong for the Supreme, isn't he? For Willie Mullins.
Yeah, I think he's favourite. I
Yeah.
think he is favourite at the
And
moment.
you can't deny
I
it.
think he's very short already.
Yeah. You can't deny it. You can't deny that the value's obviously gone now, but you know, just look at, he's just won it again, hasn't he? In the fashion where we've seen him do it on his last 2 runs prior. And in that ground, it was pretty remarkable. And yeah, what a horse he could be.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people fancied American Mike, but for me, there's levels, mate, and I think Facile Vega was by far and away the best horse in that race for sure.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Moving on to the penultimate day of the festival, the Thursday. I mean, where do we start with Galloping Deschamps falling at the last after probably, would have gone on to win by about at least 10 to 15 lengths. It was so disappointing. But Bob Ollinger, I suppose, is probably the main talking point because he won. But what did you think? Because I weren't too impressed with his jumping.
His jumping was very poor, very poor, and he doesn't look as good over fences as he does over a hurdle. So I still think they'll keep him over fences, but like you say, he was well beat, and he's very lucky that. Sorry, the name's gone blank.
What, Galloping Deschamps?
Yeah, Galloping Deschamps. Sorry, for some reason I had Gaillard de Menil in my head.
I think he placed in one of the previous races.
Yeah, I don't know where that's come from, but yeah, no, he's very, very lucky that Gallopin Deschamps has come down, and Gallopin looks like he could be a Gold Cup horse next year.
No, I think there's still. I mean, he is still an absolute superstar because look at the way he was going, and he only fell because he didn't even clatter the fence. He just jumped. He jumped actually perfectly, and he just seemed to slip over in the ground. So it was so unfortunate, and that's probably very rare that happens. But no, it's a shame because obviously he was my pick and wanted to see him win it. But he'll be back. Definitely, he'll be back stronger than ever.
I was on Bob, mate. So it's never nice to see a horse fall in that. But
thank God he was okay.
Yeah, thank God he was okay. It would have been horrible to see if the worst had happened.
No, definitely. And let's see if Bob Ollinger can improve because his jumping just wasn't good enough. And yeah, Galloping was the better horse on the day until he fell. Moving on to the Ryanair. I mean, this was the banker of the week. Do you agree?
For sure, mate. Yet again, Allaho, very impressive in the Ryanair, and you got to say he's probably banker material again next year, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, I'll be very surprised if he doesn't go for the hat trick in the Ryanair, and wouldn't be surprised, like you say. I mean, with the competition, is there anything that's going to put it up to him? I don't think so. I can just, like you say, him being the banker again and winning quite comfortably, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe if you get a horse like, I don't know, I don't think it will happen, but Energamine or someone like that go in the Ryanair next year, or a Shishkin, maybe put it to him, but it's probably going to be the champion chase again for them two, isn't it?
Yeah, and just a shout out to Eldorado Allen for Colin Tizard. I think that horse did quite well at a bigger price and managed to come third in that. He's been having a good season, that horse. So yeah, he did quite well up against obviously the banker in Allaho himself. The Stayers Hurdle, mate, Flooring Porter. I mean, he's done it again, isn't he? Going from the front.
Some story as well, by the way.
Yeah, is it the owners or whoever?
Yeah. The horse was actually unsold for, I think, about 10,000 euros over in Ireland. The group of mates see it advertised on Facebook, and they ended up setting up like a syndicate and buying the horse, and he won off of 108 a couple of years back, and then he won another 2 handicaps, and fast forward 15 months down the line, he's now a 2 times Cheltenham Festival winner and 3 times Grade 1 winner. So it's some story.
Yeah, and it was some ride as well by Danny Mullins, going from the front on this horse again, and he's just jumped really well, and he's made all, hasn't he? And he just pushed along and went clear in the final 100 yards or so. And I think Time Hill, that was your selection, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought Time Hill actually ran a pretty good race. Like you said, Florian Porter run them from the front, and there was just no catching him. But Time Hill sort of stayed on well enough to get the placings. And yeah, that's certainly not a horse I would rule out in the future.
No, and Paisley Park always putting in a good shift of work. He did well. I mean, he looked sort of finished like in this race. He weren't sort of looking great. He was held up at the back, and he's just been pushed along, and he's grinded to the end, and he's managed to finish third in that. He did finish the race quite strongly, and obviously disappointing from the likes of Champ, Classical Dream, Royal Kahala, but I suppose their last runs prior to the festival weren't great, were they? Champ and Classical Dream.
No, they wasn't. It wasn't ideal at all. They was two at the front end of the market, and two bad performances just before the festival, and they didn't really go close at all, did they?
No, not at all. And just the final talking point on the Thursday that I think got to mention, especially for you, mate. Cool Cody.
What a boy, mate.
Winning the Paddy Power Plate. I mean, he's won it at 22-1 as well. And I'm very shocked, mate, that you didn't actually back him, because you love that horse, don't you?
I do. I'm kicking myself even now, mate. I thought Imperial Alcazar was, a very, very strong shout for this, but Cool Cody was, he loves Cheltenham, doesn't he? And he's just shown it again. You can never, ever rule him out. Some performance, mate. And like I said, I'm still kicking myself now because I love the horse, and I can't believe I've not had a few quid on it.
I know, at that price as well. And I think you've tipped him up on the pod, the podcast a few times.
Won about 14-1, I think, before on the pod. So
no, he done really well, and he's probably one of those that you look at now, reviewing the week, and you think, what was he doing at that price, and why have I not backed him each way?
Yeah, for sure. Especially with his record at Cheltenham, he loves it. So.
Yeah. No, he absolutely smashed it. And moving on to the Friday, the last day, we both had Vauban, didn't we, in the Triumph Hurdle?
Yeah.
And something about this horse, I think his performance was probably better prior to this, but again, he still won it well because he didn't jump the last that well, and he's travelled strongly throughout. But again, he's just gone clear, and that's what I really like about this horse. In the closing stages, he can just, he's off.
Yeah, he's got a real turn of foot, hasn't he?
And I think it was interesting because I think I heard a few quotes in that saying that Vauban could be another one who could potentially be aimed at the champion hurdle, or going for a season, or being campaigned on the flat for the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, I see that as well, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Like you said, it's obviously a horse who can run over both flat and the jumps, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. And if he runs in the Melbourne Cup, he surely wins, doesn't
he? Well, I mean, he looks special, mate. He looks a very special horse, and it'd be very interesting to see the future for him. In particular, if he does go on the flat, like you say. So definitely one to keep an eye on moving forward. And obviously, he had the Gordon Elliott pair, Phil Dorr finishing second, Pied Piper finishing third. I mean, out of those two, it was probably them to make out the placings, wasn't it?
I think you could have had the tri-cast, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Phil Dorr he disputed the lead at the beginning, but then he was kept on, but no match for Vauban. And Pied Piper didn't really jump that well. And he was sort of ridden out, and before the second last, he just managed to grab third. But yeah, Vauban definitely lived up to his performance prior to the festival, and looks to be, like I say, a very special individual.
Spot on there.
And then moving on to the just a quick mention, State Man. He won a massive handicap race, and obviously, I think a few people were not so keen on sort of a short price favourite in this, but he's been, he's come through under some ride under Paul Town and travelled really smoothly, and he's run on well to sort of win this with sort of big reputation on him to go in a handicap and perform like he did. And yeah, I thought that was quite a taken performance from the week. I'm not sure if you agree with that, but I thought that was one of the standouts.
For sure. I sort of touch on it at the end when we talk about a horse to look out for that lost at the festival. But I was impressed. But like I said, my granddad said to me, I'm surprised you didn't back that. And I said, I never like backing short prices in a handicap. It did look like he was going to go to the Martin Pipe and take on Langer Dan. But obviously, I think they've got it spot on again here. And, he's won the race well.
The Albert Bartlett won by probably, of course, that probably weren't tipped up by many at 18-1. A nice guy for Willie Mullins. Obviously, Minella Kakuna finishing second, Bardenstown Lad in third. I mean, it was really obviously, we've got to mention Ginto, who obviously got pulled up and sadly had to be put down because of the injury he suffered when he looked like he was coming up and would have gone really close. Really, really sad about Ginto. Looked to be quite a future superstar in his own right for Gordon Elliott. And obviously Hillcrest, the other one who ended up being pulled up. I mean, he went off at a short price favourite as well at 9-4, and sort of like Shishkin, it reminded me of watching Shishkin. He just didn't jump fluently, and then not so long got pulled up. I don't know what it was with him. The trainer could offer no explanation for his poor performance, so not so sure what exactly happened.
I think they've confirmed now, haven't they? It'll be chasing for him next year. I think he's made for a fence the size of him as well, so he could be a real smart chaser for next season.
Yeah, no, hopefully he is, because it was just disappointing because he obviously was going to the festival, wasn't he, with like quite big reputation. Don't know, it just didn't work out, but that sometimes happens. Moving on to the Gold Cup, mate. Obviously, you were there for the Friday. And Applitard went and got the job done. You've been banging on about the horse, saying he's the best horse in the race, and he's not disappointed at all. He's staggering performance. Yeah,
mate. Like I said, best horse in the race. I can't believe people was actually sort of trying to take it on.
Is that a dig at me going for Galvin?
The little one.
No, I mean, just he sort of jumped the last, and he's just gone on and won it. I mean, I was surprised. Like, I weren't surprised that he's won it, but I was surprised the way he's won it.
He could have went round again for sure. Like, he had so much left in the tank, and Rachel Blackmore, the ride she gave him was incredible. And just touching on Rachel Blackmore, the first woman to win the Grand National and the Gold Cup within a year. So
quality, and she just gets better, doesn't she? Brilliant to see. And obviously, I mean, Henry de Bromhead, he's had the 1-2 again, hasn't he, in the Gold Cup? Minella Indo.
I mean, second. He's certainly sort of making this race his own now, isn't he, Henry?
He is.
But just a little shout out to Protectorat, who sort of run a big race for me, because I did not think that would be placing at all. But stayed on really well to get third place in the end.
Galvin was he's quite disappointing in the end.
It's quite flat, wasn't he?
Yeah. Didn't look the same, with that versus speed that he had when he beat Applitard, and the way he sort of travelled in that race. But no, at the festival, I don't know what it was. He just didn't look great. He was ridden 3 out as well, and after that, you just think, no, he don't look like he's got a chance here. But yeah, disappointing. And obviously, I spoke about it in the anti-post episode, didn't I? Asterion for Lodge. Obviously, really fond of this horse, but obviously he's ended up finishing 7th. But he actually, he was going quite well for long periods of this, and ultimately he's just not. Unfortunately, ended up staying the trip. But for once, he actually jumped quite well. He jumped out to his right on a few occasions, but No, I think bar the sort of third last, he jumped quite well, and hopefully there's still a big race in him.
Are you still going to back him next time out?
Hey, I'm backing him every race he runs in.
He's got to win one day, hasn't
he? He's got to. I still believe in him. And moving on to the, we'll finish it off with the mare's chase. Ellie May.
Mm-hmm.
She got her head in front, didn't she, this year?
Yeah, I was very heavy on Zambella, but Ellie May stayed on really well and looked really impressive in the final stages. And I mean, disappointing for me with Zambella, who I thought could really sort of put up a shock at a big price, but
she was going well. Well,
really well. But obviously, in the end, Ellie May showed her class.
Yeah, I was with Ellie May on the day, and she just looked so tough, didn't she, in the final stages?
Yeah.
And obviously has kept on really, really well to win. So
the thing with Ellie May is we've always known she's had the ability, but she's had the sort of races where she hasn't showed up or things haven't gone for her. But it looks like we've finally seen the horse there that we all thought she was, and hopefully she carries it on.
Yeah, quality to see her get her head in front and win the mare's chase on the final day. And just to finish it off, I've got 3 questions for you, mate. Obviously, I'll go through mine after, but I've got, who was your best performance of the week? What was the ride of the week? And what's one horse to follow who didn't win, but one horse to follow going forwards after the festival?
Best performance of the week for me has to be Constitution Hill. I mean, like I said, that was probably the best performance I've seen from a novice hurdler, maybe even ever. He was so impressive, and I think he's going to have a really big future in the game. Can see him sort of winning for a lot for the next sort of few years. I'm going to have to give ride of the week to Rachel Blackmore on
I thought that was coming.
Yeah, I think she gave him a great ride and sort of pushed him along and sort of squeezed through the gap, and she timed it to perfection, jumped the last alongside Manila Indo, and he was away. So I thought that was a really classy ride from her, and she'll get that for me. And one horse to follow, I've actually gone for First Street, who was a length and a quarter behind State Man.
Interesting.
And I think State Man could go on to become a really top horse from what he showed, and could even be a group horse in the future. So that's one to look out for. Nicky Henderson's First Street for me.
No, I love that. Yeah, brilliant. Interesting pick that. And my best performance, I was obviously, Constitution Hill, massively agree with you on there, but I thought I'd go for something different, and I've gone for Facile Vega. I just think, like I mentioned when we spoke about him, to win it as well as he did, as impressively as he did, in arguably the worst conditions I've seen, for it to go to a last minute inspection, and he's just come out and he's won it as if he's won it on great ground, like he did prior to the festival. It was remarkable. Some performance, and to still beat American Mike comfortably in those conditions was, I think, was brilliant. And for me, that was the best performance at the festival. Ride of the week would have to be Patrick Mullins on Billaway in the Hunter's Chase. I think,
impressive.
It helped that I had Billaway in a treble that day, so that helped.
I was on Wing Leader. He got done on the line, so I wasn't too happy about that. But I've got to agree with you. A great ride from Patrick Mullins.
It was some performance. Even like jumping. With I think about 3 or 4 to jump, and he looked absolutely finished, like he was gone. And obviously the horse has found a lot under great ride from Patrick Mullins, but even jumping the last, he was still like 5, 6, 7 lengths behind, and he's just found something. And I think for me that was brilliant. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. And he obviously beat Wing Leader just on the nod. And one horse to follow for me would be HMS Seahorse, who finished 4th in the Boodles.
Obviously, I was on that one.
Yeah, flat horse in its prior campaign to going to jump racing. And I think he was pretty much like widest throughout, and I don't think that was a massive help in such a big field. But obviously sometimes you just end up in that position. And I think another thing in the boot was obviously there was a full start and 3 of them cleared the first flight, and he was actually one of them. And the other 2, the Tide Turns and Champion Green, and they didn't actually run much of a race, sorry. So, you know, he was one to come out of that quite well, and sort of he's ended up 4th, and he looked good. He looked quick and going around the home bend, and, you know, I think he's one to definitely take from that. And obviously, look who's gone close, Gaelic Warrior, and obviously Brazil, who just beat him on the line. So I think HMS Seahorse in the Boodles for me is definitely one to keep an eye on moving forward. So yeah, enjoyed that, mate. I hope everyone listening enjoyed us two covering the whole festival with our previews throughout the week, and obviously festival review in this episode. So if you all enjoyed, please like and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate it. And follow us on our Twitter at FPTP Podcasts.
Just want to mention there, mate, as well about the Twitter to definitely give us a follow, because we actually ran a £50 free bet giveaway on there the other day. And going forward, we're going to be running a lot more giveaways. So be sure to give us a follow on there and keep an eye out, because chance to win some free bets for sure.
Yeah, and our competition winner actually managed to win off the £50 free bet as well.
Nice little 10-to-1 double, wasn't it?
Yeah, so unbelievable for him to win off our first competition that we ran. So yeah, great point to mention. And like I say, hope everyone enjoyed. And obviously we can't wait to cover the festival again next year. But until then, we'll have a few more episodes coming out soon, and roll on the flat season now, I suppose.
Yeah, mate. Jubbly. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, nice one, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.